All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a look inside PT Surya Semesta Internusa, or SSIA for short. Now, this is a huge Indonesian conglomerate with its hands in everything from massive construction projects to luxury hotels. But this explainer, it's not just about what they do. It's about how they're doing it and the seriously big ambition that's driving the whole thing.
And it all starts with this one phrase, pulled right from their mission statement. But listen, this isn't just some corporate tagline they slap on a report. This is the big idea that shapes their entire strategy. And when a company has a mission this bold, you have to ask. I mean, think about it. How do you actually turn a vision that massive into a real, practical, day-to-day strategy? Well, when you start digging through their reports, a really clear three-part approach starts to take shape. It breaks down like this. First, they focus on building the physical foundation. The hard assets that an economy literally runs on. Second, they build the human experience, creating the spaces where people can connect, work, and just live. And third, the thing holding it all together is what we're calling the corporate blueprint, the invisible set of rules and values that guides the entire ship. So let's unpack each one of those. Okay, let's start with the stuff you can actually see and touch, the physical foundation. We are talking about concrete, steel, and just a sheer scale of development that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. So get a load of this number. This is the size of just one of their projects, their flagship industrial park, Surya Cipta City of Industry. To put that in perspective, 1,400 hectares is roughly the size of 3,500 American football fields. This isn't just a business park. It's a sprawling ecosystem designed from the ground up to be a major hub for the entire country's manufacturing sector. And you can see their definition of foundation is incredibly broad. It's not just the industrial land, it's the critical infrastructure that connects everything, like the 116-kilometer toll road their construction arm helped build. It's the iconic high-rise buildings that shape city skylines, and it's the modern warehouses that are powering today's digital economy. They're building all the pieces. And this isn't just history, it is a constant, churning engine of activity. These are the new contracts their construction unit locked in over just a 2-year period. Now, that 1.1% increase might seem small, but look at the actual values. We're talking nearly 3 trillion rupiah. That's well over $200 million in new projects every single year. It's like a steady heartbeat of development, constantly adding to the nation's backbone. Okay, so we've seen the concrete and steel, but let's pivot from the industrial to the personal. Because building a nation, well, that's not just about roads and factories, is it? It's about people. And this is where SSIA's hospitality business really comes into play. This is the other side of their mission, the really human-facing side. They build these incredible 5-star hotels like the Melia Bali and the Grand Melia Jakarta. They're creating destinations that drive tourism and business and that really shape the country's international image. But this part of the business, it also comes with some pretty unique vulnerabilities. And wow, nothing shows you that vulnerability quite like this comparison right here. In 2018, the Melia Bali was absolutely thriving, almost 77% full on average. Fast forward just 3 years deep into the pandemic, and that number plummeted to just 12.5%. That's not a dip, that's a free fall. It's one single data point that shows the incredible force of that global shutdown. And they didn't try to sugarcoat it. In their own 2020 report, they stated plain as day, the hotel sector was severely impacted. This was a crisis that put the resilience of their entire business model to the ultimate test. But that crisis, it sets the stage for what happens next, a truly dramatic comeback. Just look at this. From 2021 to 2022, their hospitality revenue more than tripled. This wasn't just luck. This was the result of being able to weather the storm and then immediately capture that huge pent-up demand for travel and tourism as the world started opening back up. What a rebound. So we've seen the physical assets and we've seen the human experiences. But what is the glue? What holds a company this diverse and this resilient together? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the invisible architecture, the corporate blueprint.
Seriously, how do you manage a portfolio that spans from toll roads to beach resorts? And how do you navigate the kind of shocks we just talked about? The answer lies in the systems, the principles that guide every single decision, from the boardroom all the way down to the construction site. It starts with a concept they bring up in every report: GCG.
Good corporate governance. Now, I know, that might sound like some dry corporate jargon, but stick with me, because for SSIA, this is the bedrock of their operations. Think of it as their internal rulebook, the set of principles that make sure this massive, complex machine runs with fairness and transparency. It's about protecting everyone, from the big shareholders to the general public.
And that whole framework really stands on these 5 key pillars. In a nutshell, they're committing to be open, to be accountable for their actions, to be responsible, independent, and fair in everything they do.
But you know, a blueprint isn't just about formal rules on paper, right? It has to be about the culture. And these 3 core values are designed to guide the day-to-day behavior of every single employee, translating those high-level principles into actual actions on the ground.
And this blueprint doesn't just stay inside the company walls, it reaches outward. It's what drives their commitment to developing their own people through training and career planning, and it's what fuels their CSR programs, which do everything from providing scholarships and building schools to funding environmental conservation.
So we've seen how SSIA builds the physical, the human, and the corporate foundations, but a mission like building a nation is never really static, is it? It's always evolving. So for our last section, let's look at how they're planning to build the future. You can see just from this quick timeline that this company has had to constantly reinvent itself over the last 5 decades. From starting out back in '71 to going public in '97 to adapting to e-commerce with modern warehousing in 2015. But the really critical point here is that most recent shift, that focus on ESG and smart city development.
This right here is their roadmap for what's next. Their official strategy is all about transformation, innovation, and using technology. But that last word on the list, sustainability, that's the real game changer here. It's a clear recognition that building for the future means having a deep, fundamental focus on environmental, social, and governance issues.
And this is where it all comes full circle. The mission, building a better Indonesia, that stays the same. But how they're doing it is changing. Their huge new project, Subang Smartpolitan, isn't just another industrial park. They're designing it as a smart city from the get-go, built on things like environmentally friendly energy, IoT connectivity, and sustainable planning.
Which kind of leaves us with this one big final thought. When you unpack how a single company builds its physical world, navigates very human crises, and defines its internal blueprint for how to behave, you get a really fascinating glimpse into the powerful role that corporations can play in shaping a nation's development. It's a story of growth that is always being rebuilt.